What's up, YouTube fragrance family and friends? Tommy with Studio Sense here. Welcome to another day and another video. There's so many fragrances that come out and we get them, we use them, we look at them, we fall in love with them, we don't like them, we discard them, and we often forget about them. So today we're taking a look at 10 fragrances that I feel for whatever reason have fallen by the wayside, whether they fell under your radar or they came out, you got it, put it on your shelf, and kind of just forgot about it. These fragrances are what I call a play on words, forgotten but not gone. We forgot about them, but they're still here, so we're gonna dust them off, take a look at them today fresh, talk about them a little bit, and maybe you'll learn something new or remember something that you really enjoy. That's coming up next, so stay tuned. Hey guys, and welcome back. So today I'm excited to get into this list with you because we have 10 fragrances that for whatever reason have kind of fallen by the wayside or we've forgotten about, or heck, you may even have these fragrances sitting on your shelf right now, and this video will either refresh your memory about them and kind of reinvigorate that interest, or if you've never heard of these, it'll inform you and you may want to check them out. So we've got 10 fragrances to get into. Let's go ahead and jump right in with our very first fragrance from the house of Robert Graham. Robert Graham released a trio of fragrances called Fortitude, Courage, and Valor. Valor happens to be my absolute favorite of the three simply because I love coffee fragrances, and this is a fantastic coffee-based fragrance. Sadly, this fragrance has been discontinued, so they're kind of sort of hard to find, and when you do find them, the price is kind of jacked up a little bit. So be wary about how much you're going to pay if you're looking for this. First, check out your rack stores. If you're lucky, you'll find it there. That's where I found this one, or your discounters online. I wouldn't pay more than 60 bucks or so for this. This one I got for about 30, which is right about where it needs to be. This opens with a nice sharp clary sage, and the heart is where you've got that Brazilian coffee and then some amberwood in the base. It's just a great all-around casual fragrance, but can be worn anytime, year-round, and it just smells so good. If you like the scent of coffee at all, you're gonna love Valor by Robert Graham. Next up is another fragrance that's fallen by the wayside by Dolce & Gabbana. It is Dolce & Gabbana Intenso. Intenso is just not one of those that people give a lot of love to, simply because there are other fragrances that are similar, like the original Dolce & Gabbana Pour Homme. This is one of those fragrances that kind of has everything. It's got aquatic notes, it's got a spicy basil, tagetes, a floral geranium. You've got lavender, a little bit of tobacco, a hay note, actually. Bran Absolute is in here. It's also got some nice meaty base notes like cypress, labdanum, patchouli, and sandalwood is the base that it's resting on, and I really enjoy it. To me, it smells like a money fragrance, like something that precipitates good income, or something that speaks of, you know, old money. It can be worn casually, upscale, it's very versatile, and it's just an all-around great fragrance that, again, if you've never tried Intenso, sample it, check it out. You may just like it. I think it's a really nice, manly, masculine fragrance for any time. Next up is a fragrance from the house of Guerlain. The L'Homme collection gets a lot of love from the original L'Homme cologne, which is a nice milky, creamy, lemony, almondy fragrance. They've released various editions of L'Homme, notably the Eau de Parfum, which is extremely popular, and rightfully so because it's a great fragrance. But this particular fragrance just doesn't get a lot of attention. I think the attention that it deserves. It is L'Homme L'Intense. Now this is more a winter-based fragrance, so here it is summer and I'm talking about this, but this is one of those because it's got a tobacco heart that I feel like can be worn anytime. But I think there's something about it that some people don't like, which is a nice smoky background. It's got a little bit of a smoky essence in the background that kind of sets it apart from other of the L'Homme Ideal. Now this is the new bottle. Unfortunately, they took away, remember when the sides were solid? So they kind of took away something that I really liked about the presentation, but oh well, the juice is the juice and it's still amazing. This one has chili, cardamom, leather, rose, patchouli, vanilla, sandalwood, just all the nice, dark, lightly resinous, rich notes that you would expect out of a really nice wintertime fragrance. If I walked by a dude in the mall in the middle of summer and this is what he smelled like, I would think, why do you smell like that? Because that's pretty cool. Again, the heart of this is rich, lightly tobacco-y, lightly smoky, almondy. If you like anything about that description, you'll really enjoy this one. That is L'Homme L'Intense by Guerlain. Next up, and this might surprise you, is a fragrance from the house of Miyake that came out in 2020. But I think people have forgotten it for a couple of reasons. The fragrance I'm talking about is Fusion d'Issy. It has that really nice modern blue fragrance DNA and body that everyone's looking for. Sharp, bright notes in it, like some eucalyptus in here. You've got ambroxan, you've got a bit of spice and florals like rosemary and geranium. When this was released, it kind of got swept under the carpet. You know, the campaign wasn't hugely successful. And the second problem is this year was released a Fusion to C Extreme. Why would you own Fusion to C if you can own the better extreme version of it? So I feel like this has already been kind of left behind, but for those of you that haven't tried Fusion to C, it's a really solid blue fragrance. It's a really nice summertime offering. It's one of those fragrances that kind of covers all scenarios. You know, you could wear it all season long. Definitely got the earmarks of a signature fragrance if that's what you're looking for, and it's really inexpensive. Plus, it's Miyake, so you know the quality is there. So again, if you haven't tried out Fusion to C, definitely check it out. Our next fragrance is from the designer Sean John. Now this one did get some love back in the day, but I think it's one of those that needs to be kind of brought to the foreground again because it's such a quality fragrance. 3 AM. 3 AM is a subtle but powerful skin scent. When I say skin scent, I don't mean something that pulls back and just sits on your skin and does nothing. It's got a really nice kind of sensual, sexy, sun-kissed skin effect. In fact, in the base, that's one of the notes, is a sensual skin accord. You've also got a little bit of tonic water and a nice resinous suede note. It's a little bit like a light leather note. This also introduces fig and geranium in the heart, along with a bit of citrus like bergamot, mandarin orange. This also introduces fig and some orange blossom in the heart. You've also got cardamom, you've got bergamot and mandarin orange. So it's just a really nice, very smooth fragrance that can be worn on date nights. So it makes a good date night scent. It's also a really nice spring and summer fragrance just all around. And the best thing about it, it's less than 30 bucks. You can get this for like 22 bucks, a 100 ml bottle. Such a quality fragrance, and the atomizer will surprise you. It's got a really nice metered atomizer that you'll enjoy. That is Sean John 3 AM. Our next forgotten but not gone fragrance that we're going to reintroduce you to is from Vince Camuto. It is Vince Camuto Homme. Homme is one of those fragrances, when it was released, it was just kind of like, okay, it's all right, it's okay. There are better fragrances out there, and that is all true. That doesn't change the fact that this is actually a quality, solid little fragrance. It just doesn't get any limelight. You can find this out there for very inexpensive, and it's a really nice, solid spring and summer fragrance. This is one of those fragrances that features the note of ozone, which I like ozone. When done well in a fragrance, it really lightens and brightens it up. This one also has a little bit of gin and tonic in it, some lemony citron, some fresh lavender, sharp juniper berry, and in the base, spruce, atlas, mugwort, I believe, and then you've got silver birch. So some really interesting woods in this, but it comes across very spicy, lightly green, very spicy. You'd swear there was tarragon in here. It's one of those energetic fragrances, and again, it's underutilized. Vince Camuto was popular for a while, but now nobody really talks about him. He released a few fragrances that were a little bit meh. So the result of that is that you can get a really quality fragrance at a fraction of the cost that you would pay for other fragrances that are just okay. That is Vince Camuto Homme. Our next forgotten but not gone fragrance that I'd like to reintroduce you to is a fragrance I've talked about many times on my channel, and I'll continue talking about it. I think it's a very quality fragrance for what it is. It's from the designer Esker de la Renta. It's actually his flagship fragrance, Esker de la Renta Gentleman, the one that is in a domino, the shape of a domino piece. When you look at the presentation, you think cheap, but when you smell the fragrance, you think Dior or Gucci. It's rich, it's sharp, it's a very aromatic fragrance, it's very woody, it's got a really nice woody backbone. You've got amber, vetiver, some woods in the base. There's geranium, rosemary, black tea in the heart, but it opens with a really nice champagne note. That's what's unique about it. Now it's bookended with a bit of cardamom and bergamot, but that champagne note is almost lightly fizzy, lightly bubbly when you get it, and that's what's refreshing and cool about this fragrance. Then that champagne note kind of dies away and you start bringing in some of the richer, spicier notes along with the woods, and it's just a very masculine fragrance that I would wear on any occasion. This is definitely a flagship fragrance worthy and a signature scent fragrance worthy. That is Esker de la Renta Gentleman. Now this one is becoming a little bit harder to find. Most discounters are out of it, so that means to me that it's headed towards being discontinued. As a flagship fragrance, I wouldn't think that would happen, but I'm just saying buy it now if you're interested in getting it, because who knows how long it's going to be available. Esker de la Renta Gentleman. Our next forgotten but not gone scent that we're going to talk about is from Alfred Dunhill. It is Century. This looks like something that would be on a Century 21 business card. It is a very modern looking circular cube combination. This is just a really nice, lightly lemony, neroli based fragrance. It's basically what it is for spring and summer. You've got your obligatory grapefruit, bergamot, mandarin orange open that seems to be in a lot of men's summertime fare. But what sets this apart is it has a lightly resinous frankincense, a little bit of cypriol oil, and neroli in here. Actually, it's reminiscent of Icon, which is also by Alfred Dunhill. It's not quite as dirty as Icon. This is kind of like the lighter version of Icon, the light summer version of Icon, if there can be such a thing. It's definitely an underappreciated fragrance, extremely wearable, specifically for spring and summer, and it's one of those great high heat fragrances as well. Alfred Dunhill Century. This next fragrance, when you look at it, feels like something the car manufacturer was forced to do. They were forced into a corner into actually creating and making because it looks kind of cheesy. It is Fiat 500 for him. But this is one of those fragrances that even though it looks cheesy, it actually turned out to be quite epic, at least in my estimation. This fragrance is one of those that when you smell it, you either hate it or you love it. It seems to be one of those galvanizing scent profiles that people either really like or don't like. It's what's called a light leather fragrance for men. And the way that they arrived at that leather, oh man. It's literally like sitting in, if you've ever sat in a car with leather seats after sitting in the sun, that's kind of what it smells like. But the seats aren't dark leather, they're the lighter kind. So it's kind of a more of a suede, like a blonde suede. But there's not a leather or suede note in here. They use flowers to approximate that note or that smell of leather. You've got Szechuan pepper, pink pepper, and black peppers. So that's what gives it its breadth. You've got geranium, benzoin, patchouli, vanilla, and Florentine iris. And that iris note is really what causes that leather, the sensation of leather when you're smelling this. This to me is such a nice little, really kind of sexy little fragrance. I think it's a great masculine fragrance for date nights. I think it's a great alternative to leather-based, heavier leather-based fragrances for spring and summer, because sometimes leather-based fragrances can be a little bit heavy in summer. This one is not, it's very light. Great little fragrance that's getting harder and harder to find. So highly recommend if you run into this in a rack store, if you find it at a discounter. Fiat 500 for him, great little fragrance. Our last fragrance that we're going to take a look at has been discontinued, unfortunately, but it was great before it was discontinued, so it's going to be harder to find. You don't want to pay too much for it, but it is from Ermenegildo Zegna. It is Womo. Womo is a really nice spring and summer fragrance if you like lightly vegetal and lightly green and slightly spicy. It's just a great all-around fragrance, performs really well. It's turned into actually a very nice high heat fragrance. This one opens with some citrus fruits, got some nice bergamot. It's got a bit of violet leaf in there, some nice dry, elegant vetiver, and then some cedar for the woody base that it's resting on. Just an all-around great fragrance. I haven't had the occasion to use this one very much, but oh man. See, it's one of those fragrances that you forget how good it is and then you spray it on, you're like, why am I not wearing that more? It's just got a really nice, dry, fresh, green, lightly vegetal, summertime feel to it. The good thing about this is you can still find it in rack stores. I think our local TJ Maxx even has a few smaller bottles available. So if you find it, scalp it up because, again, it's discontinued. Ermenegildo Zegna's Womo. Well guys, that wraps up my 10 fragrances that are forgotten but not gone. Wanted to reintroduce you to them, so hopefully refreshed your memory. If you've got some of these sitting on the shelf, wipe them off, spray them on, enjoy them. If you do happen to own some or all of these, let me know what your experience is like with them and what your favorites are. And if you feel like there are some forgotten but not gone fragrances out there that I missed, which I'm sure there are, let me know what some of your underutilized or underappreciated fragrances are. Before I let you go, I want to remind you there is a contest still going on and you still have time to enter it for the massive sample giveaway. I'll leave a link above me here that will remind you and refresh you of the contest rules. It's super simple. You just have to like, comment, check out the link, and make sure to enter because we'll be drawing the winner very shortly. Guess what, guys? We just passed 8K, another 1,000 bites the dust, another goal reached. I'm super happy, super stoked about this, and I couldn't obviously have done it without you, without your time, without your attention, without your continued support. So thank you so much for that. We've got a contest going on. We'll be doing contests more and more as time goes by, doing lots of giveaways. So keep checking out the channel for new and updated information. Thanks so much for your time today, and again, thank you so much for your support on my channel. I'm Tommy with Studio Sense, and I'll see you tomorrow.